Gulfum was a young boy with a heart full of sunshine. He lived with his family in a small, simple house at the edge of a wide green field. Every morning, he would wake up with the birds and help his father on their farm. He worked very hard, from the early morning until the sun began to set in the sky. Though his family did not have many shiny coins or fancy things, they had plenty of love and kindness to share with one another. Gulfum was known throughout his village for being gentle and brave, always ready to help anyone in need, whether it was a friend who had fallen or a small animal that was lost. One hot afternoon, the sun was very strong in the sky. Gulfum had been working for many hours, and his back was tired. He decided to rest for a little while under the cool shade of a large old banyan tree. As he sat down, he heard a soft, sad sound nearby. It was a tiny cheeping noise. Gulfum looked around carefully, his eyes searching the grass and leaves. He soon found a beautiful little bird with feathers that shimmered like jewels. One of its wings was hurt, and it could not fly. It looked very frightened and alone. Gulfum's kind heart immediately felt sorry for the little creature. Gently, oh so gently, Gulfum reached out his hand. He spoke to the bird in a soft, soothing voice, so it would not be scared. "Don't you worry, little one," he whispered, his voice as soft as a summer breeze. "I will not harm you. I will help you get better." He carefully tore a small strip of cloth from his own shirt. With delicate fingers, he wrapped the soft cloth around the bird's injured wing to make a little bandage. He found a large leaf, filled it with fresh, clean water from his flask, and held it out for the tiny bird to drink. The bird took a little sip and looked up at him with its bright, trusting eyes. As soon as Gulfum finished helping the bird, a wonderful thing happened. A bright, sparkling light began to glow all around the little creature. The light grew brighter and brighter, like 1,000 tiny stars dancing together. Gulfum watched with wide, amazed eyes as the bird transformed. In its place stood a beautiful fairy, with wings like dragonfly wings and a dress that sparkled like moonlight on water. "Thank you, kind boy," she said, her voice like the tinkling of tiny bells. "You have a pure and gentle heart. My name is Moonpari, and you have saved me from a wicked spell." Gulfum was so surprised he could hardly speak. Moonpari, the fairy, looked at Gulfum with a serious but grateful expression on her face. She explained that she had been turned into a bird by a cruel sorcerer named Zarthus. "He is a very wicked man," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "He lives in a dark, gloomy palace far from here. But that is not the worst thing he has done." Moonpari then told Gulfum a very sad story. The sorcerer had used his dark magic to capture the lovely Princess Lyra, the daughter of the good king and queen. He was keeping her locked away in the highest tower of his palace, hoping to force the king to give up his kingdom. The fairy's eyes filled with tears as she described the princess's sadness and the sorrow of the king and queen. "Princess Lyra is as kind as you are, Gulfum," she explained. "Her laughter used to fill the palace gardens, but now there is only silence. The king has offered a great reward for her rescue, but all the brave knights who have tried have been trapped by Zarthus's terrible spells." Moonpari looked at Gulfum. Seeing the courage that shone in his eyes, she knew that true bravery was not about having the biggest sword, but about having the biggest heart and the will to do what is right, no matter how scary it seemed. Without even a moment of hesitation, Gulfum stood up straight and tall. He may have been a simple farm boy, but his spirit was as strong as an old oak tree. "I will go," he said, his voice clear and steady. "I will go to the sorcerer's palace and I will save the princess. It is not right for anyone to be so cruel." Moonpari's face lit up with a hopeful smile. She knew she had found the right hero for this dangerous quest. She could see that Gulfum's bravery came from a place of true kindness, and that was a magic more powerful than any dark spell the sorcerer could ever cast. "You are very brave, Gulfum," Moonpari said, her voice filled with admiration. "But you cannot go empty-handed. Zarthus's palace is filled with dangers." She held out her hand, and in her palm was a simple silver ring that glowed with a soft, warm light. "Take this magic ring," she instructed. "It will protect you from the sorcerer's dark spells. It will keep you safe as long as your heart remains brave and true. Wear it, and it will guide you through the darkness and help you on your journey." Gulfum slipped the ring onto his finger, feeling a comforting warmth spread through him, ready for the adventure ahead. With the magic ring on his finger and hope in his heart, Gulfum journeyed to the sorcerer's palace. It was a frightening place, with dark stone walls that seemed to absorb all the light from the sky. The silver ring glowed softly, pushing back the shadows and allowing him to walk through the enchanted gates without being seen. He moved silently through the cold, echoing hallways, his senses alert. Moonpari had told him that the sorcerer's life was not his own, but was magically tied to a special black bird that he kept in a golden cage. To defeat Zarthus, Gulfum had to find and capture that bird without harming it. Following the faint sounds of sobbing, Gulfum climbed a long winding staircase until he reached the very top of the highest tower. There he found Princess Lyra, looking out of a barred window with tears in her eyes. Not far from her, perched inside a large golden cage, was a black bird with feathers as dark as a starless night. This was the bird that held the sorcerer's life. The princess was startled to see him, but Gulfum gave her a kind and reassuring smile. "Do not be afraid, princess," he whispered. "I am here to help you. My name is Gulfum." He quickly and quietly opened the lock on her door. Just as the princess was free, Gulfum carefully approached the golden cage. The black bird inside looked at him with intelligent eyes, but made no sound. He gently lifted the cage from its hook. At that very moment, the door to the tower room burst open with a loud crash. The sorcerer Zarthus stood there, his face twisted with rage and his eyes glowing with a terrible red light. "You foolish boy!" he roared, his voice echoing like thunder. "Did you really think you could sneak into my palace and steal from me? You will pay for this! I will turn you into a stone statue forever!" Zarthus raised his hands and shot a bolt of crackling dark energy straight at Gulfum, but the boy stood his ground, unafraid. He held up the hand with the magic ring, and a shield of shimmering silver light appeared in front of him, blocking the evil spell completely. The sorcerer stared in disbelief. He tried again and again, sending more powerful spells, but each one was stopped by the ring's protective magic. Gulfum knew he had to act fast. Holding the cage tightly, he looked the sorcerer directly in the eye and said, "Your cruelty ends today, Zarthus. Release the princess and this kingdom from your darkness." The sorcerer Zarthus laughed a terrible hollow laugh. "Never!" he shrieked. "That bird holds my life. If you harm it, I will be destroyed. But if you let it go, I will capture you all." But Gulfum was not only brave, he was also clever. He did not want to harm any living creature, not even one that held a wicked life. He looked at the bird in the cage, then back at the sorcerer. With a firm grip on the cage, he declared, "I will not harm this bird, but I will not let it go either. I will take it to a safe place where you can never find it, and you will be powerless forever." Hearing this, Zarthus began to panic. The thought of being weak and powerless, unable to cast his dark spells, was a fate worse than death to him. He begged and pleaded, and then he made threats, promising terrible things. But Gulfum stood firm, his resolve unshaken by the sorcerer's words. Seeing that he was defeated, Zarthus let out a final desperate cry. His power faded away like smoke, and he shrank until he was nothing more than a small, grumpy man with no magic left at all. The dark palace began to crumble, but the magic ring guided Gulfum and the princess safely out of the collapsing tower. Waiting for them outside was Moonpari, her face shining with pride and happiness. Together, the three of them traveled back to the royal palace. When the king and queen saw their beloved daughter, Princess Lyra, safe and sound, their joy was immeasurable. They hugged her tightly, tears of happiness streaming down their faces. They turned to Gulfum, the humble farm boy who had shown more courage than all their knights. The king announced, "Gulfum, you are a true hero. You have saved our daughter and our entire kingdom. Ask for any reward and it shall be yours." Gulfum, being the simple and kind boy he was, did not ask for gold or a title. He only asked that his family would never have to worry about having enough food or a safe home again. The king and queen were deeply touched by his humble wish. They gave his family a beautiful new house with fertile land and made sure they would live in comfort and happiness for the rest of their days. Gulfum returned to his village not just as a hero, but as the same kind and brave boy he had always been, proving that the greatest treasure of all is a heart full of courage and kindness.